China is growing increasingly wary as its regional rival and U.S. ally Japan rapidly builds up long-range strike capabilities. Tokyo is going long-range, but is Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi really reshaping Japan's traditional approach to warfare? Japan's post-war defense rules are undergoing a major transformation as Tokyo moves toward acquiring and deploying more powerful long-range weapons. Xi Jinping now faces a new military challenge from Japan as Tokyo expands capabilities that could reach far beyond its immediate territory. Tokyo is adding Tomahawk missiles, hypersonic weapons, and other long-range strike capabilities that could allow Japan to hit targets much farther away. Japan is moving away from its traditional defensive posture as these new weapons give Tokyo a far greater ability to project military power beyond its shores. Is Japan becoming America's new arsenal in the Indo-Pacific as Tokyo builds capabilities that could strengthen the U.S. position against China? Tokyo's military makeover is gathering pace, but the bigger question is why this rapidly expanding Japanese strike power could have Xi Jinping worried. Japan's latest defense white paper signals a major shift in Tokyo's security posture, as the country prepares to confront what it sees as a rapidly worsening regional threat environment. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's government is pushing for a more integrated military system, bringing Japan's defense capabilities together to respond faster and operate more effectively. Japan is rapidly reworking its military strategy, with Takaichi pushing for a broader and farther-reaching defense plan designed to strengthen Tokyo's ability to respond to threats beyond its immediate territory. Tokyo says its security environment is now the most severe and complex since the end of World War II, raising pressure on Japan to fundamentally rethink its defense posture. China's expanding military capabilities, rising tensions around Taiwan and North Korea's growing missile arsenal are driving Japan's concerns and accelerating its defense preparations. The white paper also highlights growing military and strategic coordination between China, Russia, and North Korea, adding another layer of concern for Tokyo as it reshapes its security strategy. Japan is moving away from its traditional defensive posture and toward long-range military capabilities that could significantly expand the reach of its armed forces. The biggest shift could be Japan's growing ability to strike targets far beyond its home islands, giving Tokyo new options for responding to threats before they reach Japanese territory. Tokyo is acquiring US-made Tomahawk cruise missiles, while also upgrading its indigenous weapons systems to strengthen its ability to conduct longer-range operations. Japan is also developing hypersonic weapons and expanding its use of unmanned systems as it prepares for a future battlefield increasingly shaped by speed, range, and autonomous capabilities. The emerging military architecture links intelligence, surveillance, command systems, and long-range engagement capabilities into a more integrated network designed for faster and more coordinated responses. Together, these systems could give Japan a much longer military reach across the Indo-Pacific, potentially reshaping the regional balance of power and complicating China's strategic calculations. Japan has created a new National Intelligence Bureau to bring key security information under one roof and improve how critical intelligence is collected, assessed, and shared. Tokyo is also boosting its satellite capabilities, cyber and electronic warfare systems, along with joint military commands designed to strengthen coordination across its armed forces. The aim is to connect intelligence, advanced technology, and military power into a single, faster security network capable of responding more quickly to emerging threats. Japan is also expanding domestic defense production while easing some restrictions on arms exports, giving its military industry greater scope to support both national security and international partnerships. Japan's fiscal 2026 defense-related spending has reportedly topped $56.5 billion, reflecting the scale of Tokyo's accelerating military modernization and growing security concerns. Tokyo is also speeding up its goal of raising defense spending to the equivalent of 2% of GDP as Japan prepares for a more demanding regional security environment. The shift could further deepen Japan's defense ties with the United States, Australia, the Philippines, and South Korea, creating a more closely connected security network across the Indo-Pacific. China remains far larger than Japan in population, defense spending, and overall military power, giving Beijing a substantial advantage in the region. But Japan is becoming more connected, technologically advanced, and increasingly capable of conducting military operations at much greater distances. For Beijing, the concern is not simply Japan's growing military buildup or its gradual move away from its traditional post-war defense posture. The bigger concern is Tokyo's expanding role inside the US-led security network, strengthening military coordination across the Indo-Pacific. Beijing is watching as Tokyo develops more missiles, expands its intelligence capabilities, and builds deeper military partnerships with regional powers. The strategic balance in East Asia is shifting, and Chinese President Xi Jinping is paying close attention to how Japan's new capabilities could affect the region. Japan is no longer focused only on defending its islands, as Tokyo builds the range, technology, and partnerships needed to operate farther beyond its traditional defensive perimeter. For Xi Jinping, Japan's military transformation could complicate China's strategic plans around Taiwan, particularly if Tokyo becomes more directly involved in regional contingencies. Japanese forces could also play a larger role along the first island chain and near critical sea lanes, giving Tokyo greater influence over some of the Indo-Pacific's most important strategic routes. North Korea fired an apparent ballistic missile on August 12, marking Pyongyang's second missile launch within a week. Japan's defense ministry said the missile apparently fell outside its exclusive economic zone after traveling toward the Sea of Japan. The missile was fired from North Korea's eastern coast and flew about 690 kilometers, according to Japan's defense ministry. Japan said the missile reached a maximum altitude of about 90 kilometers during its flight before falling outside Japanese waters. Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi called the launch a threat to Japan and regional security, raising fresh concerns over Pyongyang's weapons tests. Koizumi said Tokyo had lodged a strong protest with Pyongyang through diplomatic channels following the latest missile launch. South Korea also confirmed the launch, saying the missile was fired eastward from the Wonsan area on North Korea's eastern coast. Japan formally lodged a diplomatic protest against North Korea through its embassy channels based in Beijing.
We believe the ballistic missile that was launched landed off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. There is no indication of it landing within Japan's territory or our maritime exclusive economic zone. We have not currently received any reports of damage to aircraft or vessels navigating in the vicinity. North Korea's repeated actions, including multiple launches of ballistic and other weapons to date, threaten the peace and security of Japan, the region, and the international community. Furthermore, such launches of ballistic missiles violate the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions and pose a serious issue to public safety. We have lodged a stern protest with North Korea regarding this most recent launch via diplomatic channels at our embassy in Beijing, strongly condemning this act.
Analysts believe this latest test may be directly linked to recent criticism surrounding Japan's own Tomahawk missile firing exercises. Interestingly, the missile test comes a day after Kim Jong-un's sister accused Japan of rapidly transforming itself into what she called a war state. This warning came directly after Japan's latest defense review specifically cited China, Russia, and North Korea as key security threats on August 5. Tokyo has responded by sharply increasing its military spending, signing new defense pacts and deploying additional missile systems. Japan's own defense minister has publicly called for a faster military buildup, describing the situation with a clear sense of urgency. Kim Yo-jong warned that Pyongyang would now prepare additional military options specifically in response to Japan's growing buildup. Kim Yo-jong said, and I quote, "Japan, a war criminal state, is accelerating its transformation into a war state. Tokyo is moving to formulate the possession of the capability for preemptive attack. We will never remain a passive onlooker to the military evolution of Japan, which may pose a grave threat. If the descendants of militarism, who have inherited the genes of cunning and aggression, have seized deadly weapons in their hands, something unpleasant will happen." Unquote. The missile test came right as Japan marked exactly 81 years since the atomic bombing of Hiroshima during World War II. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi attended this year's Hiroshima ceremony for the very first time since taking office as premier. Interestingly, in her speech, Takaichi notably avoided directly pledging to maintain Japan's long-standing 3 non-nuclear principles.
Japan steadfastly upholds the 3 non-nuclear principles and, as the only country to have suffered atomic bombings in war, bears the mission of tirelessly pursuing the realization of a world without nuclear weapons. The global security environment is currently becoming increasingly severe. As evidenced by the recent review conference of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, the path toward a world without nuclear weapons is by no means an easy one. However, precisely for that reason, we cannot afford to halt our efforts.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.